So hopefully this will work. Hi everyone, welcome to the C60 Show, where we show you how to optimize your health with Carbon 60.
Hi, I'm Ken, a research scientist and founder of C60 Purple Power, and I'm here to explain the science of C60 and show you how it works at the cellular level to give you back control over your own health.
And I am Sierra, and I've been on the health and wellness path for over 2 decades now. And today we are going to answer the question, does Carbon 60 cause DNA damage?
Let's finally put to rest that rumor that's been flying around the internet, shall we?
Yeah, I think it's time for a little fact versus fiction. But first, let's start with our disclaimer.
All opinions expressed on this show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare practitioner. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease. Individual results may vary.
So before we can tell you what C60 is not, let's talk about what it is.
Okay, C60 is a molecule of 60 carbons atom shaped like a little soccer ball. And it's found in nature, it's found in outer space, and it's an incredible antioxidant. And so that's kind of that's its little history. It's also won the Nobel Prize in 1996. It's discovered it.
Now, they accidentally discovered that C60, the molecule, just happens to be a really powerful antioxidant. In fact, it's the most powerful antioxidant yet known on the planet. So that means that it's really good at scavenging free radicals. So when they gave it to test animals, they discovered that, it actually had some health benefits.
Yes, it was the Battery study was probably the one. They were looking for toxicity, right? Here's a new molecule that's been discovered in outer space. They give it to test animals and they find out that it increases their lifespan by 90%.
Oh,
so that's
interesting.
Yes. And then there's the whole reasons for that, which we've gone on to other shows. And so that's basically and then there's been lots and lots of tests on the benefits of C60, but it's only when C60 is dissolved as an individual molecule.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Which is really important.
Because the studies that found the health benefits, the positive effects of C60, were using singly dissolved molecules of C60, okay? And so what they discovered from the singly dissolved molecules, which they actually had dissolved in oil, was that C60, number one, is non-toxic, even at levels 10,000 times the normal dose somebody would be taking. Also, C60 just so happened to prevent cognitive decline and other diseases associated with aging and extended the lifespan of test animals by 90%. And then, of course, what we just said, it's a very powerful antioxidant.
Yes, and I want to say C60 doesn't heal anything. What C60 does, it lifts the oxidative burden that your cells are under. That's why it's one of the most powerful antioxidants known. And then once the oxidative burden that your cells are under is lifted, then your cells can function the way they're supposed to, and then health returns.
Now we have a lot of, we're bombarded these days with EMFs and pollution and all kinds of things that can cause free radical damage. And also we have aging, and as you age, your body just doesn't produce the antioxidants it used to when it was younger. So that free radical damage really accelerates the aging process. And so people are really finding that with C60, they're able to reverse some of those things, and just by lifting that oxidative burden, which is really powerful, which is why it has the implications of possibly increasing longevity. So we'll see how long. I mean, this is all very new. The molecule was discovered in 1980 something, right?
85, and then they got a Nobel Prize in 96. And C60 works, at the molecular level, and it's a substitute for SOD, superoxide dismutase, which gets rid of superoxygen, one of the worst oxidative radicals in your body. And so it works for SOD, catalase, and it also does the job in many cases that glutathione does, dealing with hydroxyl and peroxy radicals. And it also so that's its real amazing ability.
And those antioxidants that Ken just mentioned, they are really, really important when it comes to mitochondrial efficiency. And unfortunately, they're not really antioxidants you can get from your food. Some of the antioxidants your body needs to function at the cellular level are antioxidants that your body has to make. And so what Ken's saying is that the C60 can actually replace some of these antioxidants, which is amazing. And they found that C60 is, almost 200 times more powerful than certain conventional antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. But not only that, it does not interfere with any of the signaling processes. You can take too much vitamin E or vitamin C. In fact, too large of a dose can be lethal. Why is that? Because it interferes with some of the signaling processes of the body. So you don't want to interfere with that. Well, C60 only interacts with high energy oxidative radicals like SOD.
Yeah, superoxygen, the hydroxyl radical, peroxynitrate, and maybe a couple others that we're not sure of. But it doesn't interfere with, say, the nitrogen oxides or certain other, a lot of the signal molecules are usually based around sulfur, iron, or zinc. Those are the ones the body uses, and it doesn't interfere with that. That's why it has no toxicity virtually at any level.
And what makes it such a powerful antioxidant, too, is that it can reset itself. The vitamin C, once it's used, it's spent. I mean, it can't just keep resetting itself like C60 does. And it's the unique shape of this molecule that gives it the health benefits. You can take the same element, okay, we'll call it, let's say, for instance, silica.
Yes.
And if you break that down into particles, and you can explain it, it's like
yeah.
shards
Well,
of glass,
let's get into the next one.
Okay. Well, first, let's talk about also, while we're mentioning what the scientific research has discovered, let's just mention really quick the health benefits that we know that scientific research has also discovered. And this is, again, singly dissolved molecules of C60. We know that it supports healthy aging. It supports immune function, supports stamina and energy and athletic performance, supports brain function, supports healthy inflammatory response, has antimicrobial properties, helps protect against UV damage and other ionizing radiation, supports healthy metabolism and weight, and may help to protect nerves.
Yes, and all of these have been shown in scientific studies over the years.
Yeah, and you can actually visit c60purplepower.com/research, and all of the research studies which are relevant to the type of C60 we use in our products are all listed there. And there are new studies coming out as well. So one thing to note, carbon-60 molecule is not a particle. Now, why is that important? There are certain research studies out there using particles of C60, nanoparticles of C60. So Ken, can you explain to us what is the difference between the molecule and the particle?
Well, technically, a nanoparticle is something between 1 nanometer, which is a billionth of a meter, and 100 nanometers. And C60 is 0.7 nanometers, so it's too small to be classified as a nanoparticle. And secondly, if you look at the actual studies when we're talking about nanoparticles, in a sense, particles are the collections of what you'll see in these studies of hundreds or thousands or even tens of thousands of C60 molecules. And basically, they're just a crystal shard of a molecule, of a crystal shard of a bunch of these C60s or other molecules. And so that's what's important. A particle is made a collection of a bunch of molecules.
Now, a particle of any substance can be dangerous.
Yes, right? Nanoparticles of any substance have certain damaging effects because what a particle does, it's a shard of broken, like a shard of a crystal. And a crystal surface reacts completely differently. It's like almost like a catalytic surface reacts completely differently than the individual molecule of the substance.
And it's highly reactive.
Yes, exactly. And well, for instance, it's like, we'll give you the metaphor. Dissolved silica is a necessary nutrient for our bodies, and our bodies can only can only absorb it in a dissolved form. Whereas, but glass is made out of silica. Now, if I was to crush a bunch of glass and grind it up into little nano shards and give it to you, that would have negative effects because they're sharp and they also act as a catalytic surface, which damages cell walls and other things and can cause oxidative radicals. Whereas the individually dissolved silica molecule is very important. And it's the same way with C60. As an individually dissolved molecule in an oil or perhaps polyhydroxynated, it has positive health benefits. As a crystal shard consisting of hundreds or thousands of tens of thousands of C60 molecules in a crystal shard, it is a quote nanoparticle or a microparticle, can have negative effects. And that's what's really important. And even sometimes some scientists make that effect. When it gets over 100 nanometers, it's supposed to be a microparticle, not a nanoparticle. But we'll overlook that in some of their studies.
All right. Well, just to reiterate this point and drive it home,
Oh,
here we go. Here's a research study that explains that nanoparticles can cause DNA damage and increase cancer risk. And this is not just nanoparticles of C60. This is nanoparticles of clay and
yes.
all kinds of things.
Yeah, they use kaolin, which is a clay that, and then they use nanoparticles of C60, basically just crushed crystal fragments of C60 and basically crushed crystal fragments of clays. And they found that, yeah, they can produce oxidative radicals and do cell damage. A lot of it, they're sharp little crystal shards, so they can kind of tear cell membranes up. And then, of course, once something's torn up, it can cause all kinds of oxidative damages. That's kind of what it is. It's sort of like what silicosis, that I don't know if people remember that. You may never heard of it. A lot of people that work in rock mines, underground, they get the rock little nanoparticles or microparticles of
lungs,
rock
right?
dust in your lungs, and they're sharp, right? They're like basically pieces of glass, and over time that's silicosis. Eventually destroys the lungs. So yeah, there's a huge difference between individual molecules of substance and a particle of a substance, which consists of many hundreds or thousands or millions of particles of molecules of that substance. Two different things react completely differently in a chemical behavior.
All right. And just to reiterate, a lot of the research studies that have been coming out are about nanoparticles because they cannot patent the C60 molecule. So they're trying to attach all kinds of things to it, break it down into just, shards and all of that to see what it can do. And people are sourcing these research studies that have nothing to do with what we're using in our products. So it's causing a lot of confusion. And you might be wondering why we're answering this question today. Well, we're actually getting this question a lot to our customer support team. And so we wanted to tackle this head on. And I went ahead and actually real quick, let's look at some of the hints that the study is using particles of C60. There's some keywords you want to look for. If it mentions colloidal, that's a particle. If it says, of course, particles of C60, obviously that's a particle. If it mentions nanotubes or nanoparticles, those are particles of C60, not singly dissolved molecules. So take a look at that. Make sure you see that in the study. Look for that. But what happens? So that was the question. I'm like, okay, why are we getting this question all the time? Does C60 cause DNA damage? Well, I did a little search on Google myself, and I'm going to show you.
Okay, just do the search.
Exactly what comes up. I shouldn't have stopped that share. Hold on a second. If I switch to a different tab here, this should work. All right, so let's just type it in. Does C60 cause DNA damage? Well, Google comes right back and says, yes, it does. And C60 has a genotoxic activity resulting in breaks of the DNA strand. Oh, that is concerning, guys. Let's just take a look at this.
Oh, by the way, notice the study says the protective effects of fullerene C60 nanoparticles in virgin olive oil against genotoxicity. So the study itself found that C60, it says, in conclusion, fullerene C60 and virgin olive oil have protective effects against cyclophosphamine induced bugenity and genotoxicity. So the study itself found C60, which they use dissolved molecules of C60 in oil. But let's go to what they
yeah, this study references some other research studies, and the studies that it references are studies using particles of C60. Yeah, and this is what it says in the introduction. It says C60 has genotoxic activity resulting in breaks of DNA, but it sources these studies here, 11 through 13.
Yeah, this is in the introduction of a science paper. They usually talk about the existing information, existing literature.
So let's take a close-up look then of those specific studies, because we want to just show you and point out to you that these are particles, okay? So number 11.
Okay, this is number 11, stable colloidal dispersions of C60 fullerenes in water, evidence for genotoxicity. It's in water, and basic colloidal just means little particles of C60.
Yep, there you go.
And just floating in water. So you're talking, actually, if you read the study, it's 178 nanometers, which actually is bigger than a nanoparticle, so it'd be a microparticle. And so those are definitely pretty large. At 178, there's probably 10,000 C60 molecules in that particle.
All right, and let's take a look at number 12, also resource.
And you can say it says nanoparticles right there. And in this one, it's about 731 nanoparticles in size. They also have some that's 1,510. So anyway, if you look at, so this is another particles of nanoparticles.
All right, and number 13,
It
there it
says
is
engineered
again.
nanoparticles. This one they basically had ground up crystals, small tiny nanoparticles of crystal suspended in water, and they fed it to mussels, along with the known polyaromatic hydrocarbons, PAH, which definitely causes damage. And so that's just one of the. But if we actually go to the other study on the introduction, and we go down to the next one, right below that we had quoted, it says, on the other hand, numerous studies have found no immunogenic effects of C60 fullerenes in vivo, that means in animals, in vitro, which is in a test tube, of course, and that's studies 14 through 17. And in all those studies, they use dissolved C60. C60 dissolved in oil, or in some cases polyhydroxynated, which allows it to dissolve, individual molecules dissolve in water. Also, a little bit further down on the introduction.
I don't know where you are.
Oh, we're right here. We're just running down. I just put it right there so you can see it. And
I've lost track.
And then and we'll just keep going down.
C60 reduce the.
Yeah, exactly. And then go a little bit further down, and at the very next bottom of the paragraph, C60 reduced the genotox effects of dioxyrubicin on healthy human lymphocytes. That's white blood cells. Furthermore, C60 possesses the ability to prevent oxidative stress from dissemination due to the size.
Okay.
So that's basically they find these
Even
positive, and that's why that study pointed out it's controversial, because a lot of the scientists they don't put out the fact that is C60 being used as a dissolved single molecule in an oil or polyhydroxynated, which makes it water soluble, or is we dealing with particles of C60 consisting of thousands or tens of thousands of C60 molecules. So it's really important when reading these studies, and you'll find that all the negative studies that say there's some problem with C60, they're using nanoparticles, and also they throw in carbon nanotubes, which are pretty nasty. They're like broken. Imagine fluorescent light bulbs where you break off the ends of them. They're really, really sharp, and they just tear up cell membranes. That's what carbon nanotubes are. They are not very good for you. And fortunately, they're produced by catalytic converters in your car. So that's just what we wanted to do. That you need to really be careful and just read the fine print. Go to methods and materials in a science article, and that'll tell you exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes it's right in the title.
Yeah, sometimes it's the title.
If it says C60 fullerenes in oil, that's a good sign that it's actually the kind of C60 we use. And then what was the aqueous solution?
No, that's polyhydroxynated. They put like about 24 hydroxyl radicals to it. And then that makes it water soluble, so they can use it for injections. That's really expensive, and it's only really available to scientific researchers. Whereas, and I want to say something, pretty much all the people out there in the C60 industry, not just C60 Purple Power, is they dissolve their C60 in oil and produce a healthy quality product for their customers. There's a few people that come in the market, the fly-by-nighters, that are if you see like water soluble C60, somebody trying to sell you that, it's not water soluble, because that would be like thousands of dollars for a bottle. And if they they're just grind it up and suspend it in water. It's just floating around in water, and that's not going to do. Also, you'll hear the charcoal people. They basically take activated charcoal, which does have about 0.25% C60 in it. Yep, there's a little tiny percent, but it's we use 99.99% C60, which is in most of the C60 producers out there that sell you a product, the legitimate ones, they're using 99.99% pure C60. So look for that. We also use sublimated C60, which hasn't gone through. Some C60 is separated by chemical solvents. There's a process to do that to get to 99.9 or 99.99%. We don't use that. We use sublimation, which is like evaporation. The C60 is just heated to 400 degrees Celsius. It evaporates, and then it's condensed, and now you have 99.99%
It
pure
sounds so
C60.
easy the way you put it,
Yes, but it's
you
actually
can't
takes,
do it on. You cannot do this at home on a stove. No, you actually need a sublimator, which
yeah,
is this huge, crazy machine, and it's really expensive to run. It takes some.
no,
Not a lot of people know how to.
no,
run
yeah,
it.
that's the problem. Yeah, you have, it's
So,
really, to run a sublimator is, you have to be really skilled. It's a highly skilled ability to run that. It's not just a science, but also an art of being a
but
sublimator.
but we do not like to cut corners when it comes to quality. We take this ourselves. We give it to our friends and family. Our goal has always been to produce the best C60 possible. So we're very proud of the
Hmm.
product that we have. It's also stored in amber glass bottles, which is
Oh,
important to note, something to think about. We're about to take some questions, Ken.
okay.
But real quick, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. We had a little party on social media last week for Ken's 60th birthday. Happy birthday, Ken!
Yeah.
And we got a great testimonial from Rich, sent this in. He is water skiing, guys, at age 74. That is amazing.
Yes, it is.
So wanted just to give a shout out to him.
And he
Thank
plays
him.
pickleball 3 times a week. I was looking up pickleball on the internet. It's like yeah, it's a pretty rough sport. It takes a lot of skill and in flexibility to play that sport.
Yeah, and then we also wanted just to give you a thank
Oh.
you, Rich. So we're going to send you a bottle of C60 because we really love your story. And also thank you to Jessica. Let me find the name here. Jackie. So Rich, Jackie, and Stephanie, we really appreciate all your messages, and we're going to send you guys some free bottles. So thank you. By the way, guys, if you didn't hear about that party that we had and you missed out, you should go join our newsletter because that's where you find out everything first. So definitely check that out, and of course, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you get a notification every time we upload something new. But if you want to hear about news, other news about the company or C60, new research coming out, or great special offers coming out, definitely join that newsletter. And this would be really good timing to join
Yes.
the newsletter, I just have to say, because tomorrow is a big day. And yeah, you should just go join that right now. Stop what you're doing and go join it because you don't want to miss out on what we're announcing tomorrow. Alrighty, and don't forget, you can use the coupon code the C60 Show for 15% off your entire order of C60 at c60purplepower.com.
Well, I think it's probably now time for questions.
I think so.
Yeah, if you got any questions, please send them in now. I know we've already got some in the
Let
queue.
us know in the chat or the
let's
comments.
boot that thing up, and so we can start seeing
We
those
do.
questions.
We've got a few from email that we can start with. Okay. Ange says, can you explain the process whereby C60 crosses the blood-brain barrier? Once it does this, is it possible for medicines, pathogens to cross it too?
No, C60 goes through probably an endosis, I think they call that, and it's basically pulled through the blood-brain barrier and gets on the other side. No, and no, other things can't follow C60 through. The blood-brain barrier is very selective. And so it only selects things that it wants to get through and prevents other things to get through. So C60 is endocytosis is pulled right through the blood-brain and then into the brain circulation. So yeah, it's very specific on that. The brain is very well protected from other substances.
And can C60 help with mental diseases?
Well, we're not medical doctors, and obviously we can't give prescriptions or treatments for that. But all we have is really, well, obviously in the animal studies, they with C60, well, not only increased the lifespan by 90%, but there's another study in mice where it definitely increased their cognitive abilities. It prevented cognitive decline, basically, and as part of the process. In fact, all the diseases associated with aging were pretty much suppressed by the C60, basically because as we age, our antioxidants go down, even in animals too. And so if you replace the missing antioxidants so that you don't get oxidative damage, many of the diseases of aging go away. And one of those is mental decline.
All right. Could you talk about dosage? How much C60 should one be taking daily?
Okay, there's two. Basically, if you're a healthy young or middle-aged adult, you're probably looking at a teaspoon a day. If you're getting
depending on your weight.
Yes,
right?
yeah, getting weight. Yeah, if you're at, let's say, 160 pounds, a teaspoon would do. If you're like 260 pounds, you're going to be looking for a tablespoon. Also, if you get older, like if you're in your 60s, or 70s, probably you're pushing more a tablespoon rather than a teaspoon. So it's age and weight. So if you got more age or more weight, you need more C60.
Or if you're dealing with a health challenge,
Yes,
you
yeah,
might need more.
because those health challenges usually those are producing a lot of oxidative radicals. So you need more C60 to neutralize the oxidative radicals. Because
And
C60
yeah,
doesn't cure anything; it lifts the oxidative burden that the cells are under. And once the oxidative burden is gone, then your cells can operate as they're supposed to be, and you get a return to health.
anything where you need to repair, heal, recover from something, whether that be surgery or anything like that, C60 might be able to help with that because it can help with tissue repair and inflammation and building up of the joints. A lot of good. And the reason why it does that is because it actually helps with pregnenolone production and stem cell production. And of course, we know that stem cells are needed to build all kinds of tissues in our body, organ tissues, um, joint tissues, muscle tissues, and yeah.
Yep.
So, all right, did we answer that one? Okay, let's go to the next one. Um,
Well, there's a lot there.
I know. Okay, Trudy says, I have an autoimmune inflammatory disease. Is this product acceptable for my use?
Well, C60 gets is really in many scientific studies found to be it suppresses inflammation. Inflammation is caused by oxidative radicals. That's what starts off the whole inflammatory process. C60 neutralizes the oxidative radicals before they can cause inflammation. It also supports the healthy immune response so you don't get like a cytokine storm. And that's been found in scientific studies.
So now I heard you just say it suppresses inflammation. I've never heard you say that before.
Yes, it does. It suppresses the oxidative radicals which cause inflammation. So if the source of the inflammation is gotten rid of or reduced, then the resulting inflammation is also reduced because that's oxidative radicals are really what's causing that inflammation. When the cells are damaged, they basically they're being oxidized. That's rusted because they've been torn open. They're exposed to oxygen, and then you get all kinds of chemicals that are produced by oxidative damage. And when those chemicals are detected, let's say by the macrophages, they'll send out cytokines to call in the neutrophils and other cells to take care of the inflammation.
Now that's what really makes C60 so miraculous, almost to the point that it sounds too good to be true, is that there are all these downstream effects when you remove the oxidative stress, when you remove the source of the problem. It's amazing how all these other things might go away. Now, allopathic medicine would have you treat the symptoms, and that's how we usually do things in Western medicine, is we're constantly treating different symptoms, and then it's causing other symptoms, and it's just a mess. So if you can treat the source of the problem, then that is going to help everything, and there is going to be a cascade effect of positive health benefits. So that's the key right there.
Yes.
All right. What else do we have here? And I can tell you, as someone with autoimmune conditions, I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis and Addison's, and I have been able to reduce my thyroid medication by 2/3. So just wanted to put that out there. Definitely check out our show on thyroid health if you're curious. I don't know what autoimmune inflammatory disease you have, but
another thing for autoimmune, it's if you have an autoimmune disorder, it's really good to start looking to heal your gut, because usually a leaky gut is the source of many autoimmune diseases. So probably do some research on how you can, C60 can help in that, but there's a lot of other things you can do. Basically, getting rid of the allergens in your diet and getting rid of seed oils. Seed oils they got a bad omega-6 profile, and they're in everything.
And they're very inflammatory.
We're talking soybean, cottonseed, canola. What are some others? Sunflower, safflower. Your body's not designed to digest, and they cause inflammation in your gut.
Soybean oil.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things that cause like glyphosates in GMO corns and stuff. They cause inflammation. So the number one thing to get a healthy gut is to eat healthy organic stuff, and then there's a whole bunch of others, but that's really important if you have autoimmune condition.
It is. That's
Work
a good point.
on your gut.
Yes.
Work on your gut, and C60 is part of that, but it's not the whole thing. It's really you got to step up and get the allergens and other toxins out of your diet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely one of the reasons, one of the main causes of autoimmune conditions. That's what they're saying, is because the leaky gut allows protein molecules and things to escape that lining, and then the body attacks it as a foreign invader. Well, guess what? Our thyroid tissue is very similar to gluten,
Yeah.
the gluten protein, and then the dairy proteins can also affect people. So what you can do is just process of elimination, do a temporary, meant to be 3 months, 4 months, do an elimination protocol where you eliminate all of the major allergens, and then you slowly can reintroduce those back in and find out which ones you're sensitive to, because a lot of these tests, allergen tests, will not pick up these sensitivities. So they test for certain proteins, but they don't always, they'll definitely test you to see if your body is potentially could go into anaphylactic shock, but they may not test you for other things that would show that your body is actually sensitive and having an inflammatory response to certain foods. So
Yeah, and another easy thing is don't eat the same food. Only eat the same food once every 4 days. So if you don't, if you only eat it once every
oops.
4 days, that can also, that will suppress the inflammatory response, because your body will be, if you eat something every day, then it's causing an irritation and there's always a reaction. But if you eat it only once every 4 days, then the body can't cause that cyclic reaction. So that's a simple way. But there's,
Unless it's kale.
yeah, unless it's kale. Okay.
I eat kale every day without fail.
Oh yes. Oh.
Just kidding. That's just my food poetry. Let's see. Let me look up some. I'm going to check out some YouTube questions.
Okay.
Skipper says, how can C60 help emphysema?
I'm not, well, C60 can reduce inflammation, and that way it might help emphysema. A lot of emphysemas, though, has been caused by environmental toxins that people have been exposed to. Silicosis is basically a form of emphysema. Rock dust, asbestos, smoking. Just clean, good air, and C60 can reduce the inflammation, but it's probably not going to help all that much.
Joe says, is it okay to take other potent antioxidants like R-lipoic acid, curcumin, astaxanthin along with C60?
Yeah, well, C60, yeah, it's fine to do those with C60, because C60 only deals with high energy oxidative radicals like superoxygen, hydroxyl radical, peroxynitrate. There's maybe a couple others but it doesn't interfere with the signaling molecules. Now, if you're taking other antioxidants, you have to make sure you don't take too many, because they can interfere with signaling molecules. And it's also not good to take antioxidants before exercise, the other types, because during exercise, they can cause like a negative reaction. Take them after exercise, just as a rule.
All right. Teodora says, what is the difference between graphene and C60? What is the interaction?
Okay, graphene is a type is basically one layer of carbon, and it's all has hexagonal bonds. So imagine a one layer thick carbon on like a sheet of paper or a countertop. That's what it is. It's one layer thick. Now, when it's sticking on the surface, that's fine. What happens is graphene breaks off, and then it breaks off, and usually when it breaks off, it rolls itself up into little things that look like nanotubes. And so what you're at that molecular size, imagine it's almost like glass tubing, right? Broken glass tubing. That's what graphene is. When you peel it off, it's like chemically it acts like shards of carbon glass, and then those things cause oxidative action at the shards. It's also can physically rip open cell membranes. Yeah, carbon nanotubes are pretty nasty, and they're made from graphene usually.
Louis says, can C60 help with blood pressure and cholesterol?
Yes, it's been found in scientific studies to do that. But one of the things we do as a counterindicator is you have to be really careful when you're taking C60 if you're on a blood thinner, because C60, one of the things C60 does, it really increases the efficiency of the mitochondria, because it replaces SOD superoxide dismutase, which takes care of superoxygen. And when that happens, when the body has enough of that, the mitochondria will ramp up production of things like pregnenolone, which is the precursor molecule for all the hormones. Well, now you've got pregnenolone in there, and your adrenals will start making mineralocorticoids, which regulate blood pressure. So and the salt balance and things. And so your problem with, let's say you had too thick of blood, will go away very rapidly. And if you're on a blood thinner, then your blood can get too thin. So that's just why if you're going to take C60 and you're on a blood thinner, you need to talk to your doctor to get extra testing. And that's the same with hormonal issues. If you're taking like hormones to replace things like, Siri, you were doing like T3 and
Yeah, I was taking the thyroid medication, and I did a study. I usually only do lab tests, once or twice a year, but I've increased that to 3 times a year just because the last time I checked, she was like, "Oh, you're taking too much thyroid medication." So
Yeah.
I reduced it by 2/3. Hey, let's talk about pregnenolone and the cholesterol connection.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. Pregnenolone is made from LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, and that's, in fact, it's not bad cholesterol. What happens is when you're younger and your mitochondria are working, they're taking that LDL cholesterol and they're turning it into pregnenolone and a couple other substances, and so it doesn't build up in your bloodstream. What happens as you get older, your cells don't have as much antioxidants, so your mitochondria tune down their energy production, and that pregnenolone or the LDL cholesterol is still being made by the body, but it's not being absorbed by the cells, so it kind of hangs out of the bloodstream too long. And then once that LDL cholesterol oxidizes, that's when it sticks to your arteries, and that's when it causes plaques and inflammation that, to lead to arterial blockage. So when you take in C60, the mitochondria are ramped up, they're using that pregnenolone, and your LDL cholesterol levels drop as a part of the biochemistry, like they were when you were much younger, essentially.
But keep taking your medication.
Yes.
Definitely consult your doctor before using C60 if you're on any medication. And then just keep up your frequency of testing so that you can get off that medication with your doctor.
Yeah, and a lot of times the return to hormone functionality doesn't happen overnight. Like it took, what, 2 years for your...
Yeah, it was about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So that's, but you do need to be aware of that and just get a little extra testing to make sure. And it's the same with other hormone replacement therapies. You might not, we've had a guy who was on like 350 testosterone, and so he went down, he was in his 70s, he went down to the doctor. The doctor says, this is too low, gave him a cream, right? So he's up to about 750, and then he takes C60, and he's now up to 1200. Well, the doctor took him off the cream, basically. Right. So you got to be careful on that too.
Again, with the time frame, individual results definitely vary. I've also been doing other things to help with autoimmune conditions, cleaning up my diet, taking allergens out of my diet, all of those things. So it really takes all of the different factors together, right? You can't just heal alone with C60. You also have to have a healthy diet, healthy lifestyle choices, because it's not just going to fix everything. You need to work at other levels as well.
Yeah, C60, like we also say, it's a really good idea to take a multi-mineral, multivitamin supplement, because, it's this stuff's not in your food, because a lot of our foods, mined out soils. And so you need to supplement. And of course, clean water is really important. There's, getting a good water filter, especially if your water comes from a river, you need a water filter. And sometimes even a water filter on your shower.
Yeah, you want to avoid toxins as much as possible. And then, detox your fridge, but also detox your cupboards as well, your personal products and all of that.
Yeah. It takes a lot of effort and time, but that's, how valuable is health.
Yep. It's the journey of healing. All right. Oh, Polynesian Pip. I recognize that name. Welcome back. Have there been any recent studies regarding the extension of life expectancy?
There's some underway, but you have to, but they haven't come out yet, I think. And also, you have to look at the life extension. They had one study that came out that said C60 had no effect on increasing the lifespan of mice. But when you actually read the study and materials and methods, they basically gave the mice C60 once every 2 weeks. Once every 2 weeks, right? Wow. No medicine is probably going to work once every 2 weeks. And the studies that they found that C60 increased the lifespan of animals, C60 was given to the animals every day, not once every 2 weeks. Come on, guys.
Who funded that study?
Yeah, Big Pharma funded that study,
okay.
Obviously. Yeah, so then you get these things that are just, that's
Don't be fooled, people.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous and insulting that, and how did they get, well, obviously they were being paid. If you actually go down, you'd find a Big Pharma study was actually financing them. But really, guys, come on.
Seriously?
Get a little scientific integrity there once every 2 weeks, right? Yeah. Come on, that's obviously a study designed to fail.
Yeah, well, we're here to give you the facts versus the fiction. So if you guys come across any studies whatsoever that you're like, what does this mean? And is this true? Just send it to us, questions at c60purplepower.com, and we will definitely answer it on the next show.
Let's get another question. But when you're looking at scientific studies, you got the abstract at the front, and then the next thing you'll get the introduction, which is basically reviews the existing literature. And then you go to materials and methods. And that's where you want to look at, because that's going to tell you what's exactly going on in the study. And then you can go down to discussion and conclusion after that. But materials and methods where you want to look.
Yep. Sanglin Furry, that's a fun name, says, I've been using C60 to help me with my traumatic brain injury. Please elaborate on the benefits.
Oh yeah, well that's one of the things that C60 does is there's a lot mitochondria are like the energy powerhouse of the cell, and there's dozens of them or more, hundreds sometimes in your muscle cells, but there's even more in your nerve cells, because your nerve cells, your brain's what 2% of your body weight, and it uses 20% of the energy in your body. So your nerve cells are just full of mitochondria. So once C60 gets in there, the mitochondria actively uptake it, and now they can produce ATP, the energy molecule of your cell, the way it was when you were younger. And because C60 lifts the oxidative burden, and once your ATP comes back, then you can make neurotransmitters, you can transport neurotransmitters, you can reuptake neurotransmitters, you can do everything. The cells have the energy that they need to work to get the job done, and that's really the key about C60. And especially if your nerve cells work great, then your a lot of your brain can process a lot of the traumatic stress stuff and start healing itself.
Okay, that's great news.
But you do probably, if you do have traumatic stress, you need post-traumatic stuff. There's other therapies that you can be taking that help with that. But if your brain's not working functional, they're not as effective. Once your brain's functioning and working, then therapies that you're taking can work a lot better.
So yeah, again, with any condition that you're experiencing, definitely consult your doctor. But also use C60, that can be helpful. But always, obviously, ask your doctor if that's okay.
Because C60 helps in all of these things.
Yeah.
But it's not a cure. It just lets your cells work the way that they're supposed to work, and then the healing can happen. But it doesn't cause the healing in and of itself.
Matthew wants to know, what is the half-life of C60?
I don't know. A long time. C60 is upgraded in the meteoritic impacts.
Pretty.
And they actually find,
right?
Yeah, it's nearly indestructible. It's also found in the it's found in the KT boundary, the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs. Asteroid impacts make a lot of C60, along with iridium dust and stuff like that. And they actually, one of the reasons they can identify like large asteroid impacts is looking for C60 in that dust layer. If they see C60 in the dust layer, yep, it was an asteroid impact, not a fire.
That's interesting. How effective is C60 on fungus? Well, we know it's antimicrobial, and
but C60 probably isn't going to do anything to the fungus in and of itself. It'll help your cells work a little better. The thing that you might want to go after the fungus is MCT coconut oil. It's called medium chain triglycerides, and they just really rip out things that have cell walls. So fungi,
plant cell walls, right?
Yeah, plants and fungi
not
have cell walls.
cell.
We have cell membranes. So this MCT oil is completely harmless to us. In fact, our livers turn it into triglycerides, which our body can use as a flex fuel. That's really great for people with glucose problems. But otherwise, so if you have we have C60 and MCT oil and use that topically, that will really go after fungi. Also, a little bit of MCT oil, we hopefully with C60 in it, can also work on a lot of fungi overgrowths in your intestines. So it works both outside and inside. It's well known in the literature on the benefits of MCT coconut oil going against fungi.
And it can help with yeast as well.
Yes, which is in the fungi family.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Great. What else? We've got. Oh, is C60 effective at getting rid of warts? I haven't heard that. Have you? I've heard skin tags. I've had that happen to myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure if C60 would be that effective on that. You could try it. We've had some people say it has.
Definitely skin growth.
But what it does is C60, brings back functionality to the mitochondria and strengthens it, which means that maybe they can take care of the problem themselves. But you might want to also look at like salicylic acid, I think works on that. So you might want to look into that possibility.
Yeah. If someone's, joining us live today that has experience that helps with that, let us know in comments. Also, you can visit c60purplepower.com/reviews, and you can literally type any keyword in the search and see what testimonials pop up. We might even have some in there, although I don't remember there being any.
Yeah, no, that's more specific. It probably takes an antiviral.
Yeah. All right. David says he fell off a ladder 2 years ago, fractured his skull in 3 places, 98% back, but have some short-term memory issues. Can C60 help?
Yeah, C60, yeah, definitely. We've had a lot of people with, well, it did it with the animal studies, brought back cognitive. Yeah, C60 can definitely help there. Of course, traumatic brain injury takes a long time. So C60 can help in the functioning, but it's still going to take a while healing. And by the way, guys, just to let you know, one of the leading causes of death for men over 50 is falling off ladders.
Ooh.
So take super extra precautions because your balance isn't as good as you get older. It's not like like your 20s, you could do that stuff. So if you're an older guy and you're going to get up on a ladder, think twice. And if you do, you have to then take super extra precaution, like 3 points of contact, just and a really secure base, so it's not wobbly. Because your ability to balance as you get older isn't nearly as good as it used to be. So ladders are really, really dangerous for guys.
Also, you could do yoga every day. That'll help with your balance. I really recommend that. Even just 3 sun salutations a day can help you keep your flexibility for a long time and your balance. Just my little tidbit there. Sherry says, is C60 safe for the thyroid?
Well, I think you can answer that.
I think so. It's safe, all right. It's an antioxidant, basically. So, yeah, it's safe, and it'll help with the free radical damage. And then it also can help with hormone balance as well. And as we know, thyroid is one of the, master hormones, the thyroid hormone. So it's really important to protect your thyroid. And actually, C60 can help rebuild the tissue and things like that. So check out our show all about thyroid, and you'll get a lot more in-depth information about that. And then also for the question before, check out our show on brain function.
Oh, yes.
We'll put a link to that.
Yeah, C60 Purple Power, our YouTube channel, has like dozens. What is it up to now? Many videos we have on that.
We have 65 episodes. This week is episode 65 of the C60 Show, but we also have other videos. And we have a new show, guys. I don't know if you've heard about it yet. Yes. It's called C60 Health Connections, where our COO, Jessica Naughton, interviews experts in the health and wellness space. So it's not as focused on C60, although these health and wellness experts all use C60 themselves and give testament to kind of the health benefits of C60. But they dive really deep into some topics and how to overcome certain things and how to improve overall wellness. So definitely check out that show. It's also on our YouTube channel, which you should totally subscribe to, and click the bell icon right now.
Yes.
All right. What other questions do we have? We got another one from Zanglin Furry. How does C60 work with nascent iodine?
It wouldn't work directly with it. One thing is, there's in the modern American diet, there are really 3 things that people are missing. Well, one is magnesium, and another is iodine. The other is vitamin D and K, but that's kind of because people are sitting inside watching screens all the time. But so definitely taking magnesium, usually like magnesium citrate, that's really bring those levels up. Iodine, people are almost uniformly low in the United States, but you have to be careful when you're taking iodine, because you can
people?
You can.
What did you say?
Iodine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can easily take too much, so you have to be careful not to take too much iodine.
Okay.
It's a tight balance there. Most of the mineral nutrient supplements you buy on the market, you can't really end up taking too much unless you get ridiculous with it. But iodine is one of those ones you can easily take too much. So you just, be careful on it. A lot of people, when they take iodine, they actually rub it on their skin, and then it absorbs at a slower rate, and also the absorption is more controlled by the body. So there's some techniques, but you can go to YouTube and people will show you techniques on how to take iodine and how not to overdose on it.
One thing to consider when you're supplementing iodine is removing anything that would inhibit the uptake of iodine, including fluoride.
Fluoridated water.
Yes.
That's a real problem. That's one of the reasons people have, because iodine fluoride is like a substitute for iodine, and that's one of the reasons people have thyroid problems, is because the thyroid is because it's got way too much fluoride in it. It pulls up and uses a fluoride instead of an iodine, because that's the only thing it can find. And then now you have a hormone, a T3 or T4, which can't work because it's not T3 or T4 because it's got a fluoride in it.
Yeah.
And so getting fluoride out of your diet, get rid of the fluoride toothpaste.
Yes.
And if you can, filter your water so you get the fluoride out of it.
Richie says, can C60 help with neurological disorders? Back to the brain function.
Yeah, it's just, the neurologic disorders are caused by, there's just a wide variety of what causes that. A lot of them are mitochondrial based diseases, and a lot of them, there's thousands of mitochondrial diseases. But most of what it is just these, a lot of these, they're the ones that are genetic or inherent. They usually show up in childhood. There's not really anything that can happen. Most of these other mitochondria diseases show up as you get older. And what that's basically what's happening as your body gets older, it's not providing as many antioxidants to your mitochondria in your cell. And so your mitochondria can't function at the level they did before. And if there's a problem in there, then you start having deficiencies in something, because the mitochondria just don't make ATP or pregnenolone. They actually make these precursor molecules for like DNA
and the hormones.
Synthesis and cell division. Yeah, and all these other things. And there's like mitochondria are like little organelles in the body. They're actually come from symbiotic bacteria. And like, let's say the average mitochondria, I think they have 37 genes in a little ring inside the mitochondria, but there are 3,000 genes that regulate the mitochondria in the main genome. So let's say if it's in the liver, right? Your liver will activate the genes and send messengers to the mitochondria to make a specific substance that the liver needs, or the thyroid needs, or whatever it needs. And if your mitochondria are not functioning up to fullest, they won't produce that particular chemical or substance that's needed by that particular tissue or organ. Well, when you take C60 gets in there, mitochondria actively uptake it, and they basically, it's an SOD, superoxide dismutase replacer, or mimic. And so now your mitochondria can function at the higher level that they used to, and then a lot of those diseases go away. So, and that's kind of what can happen with neurological diseases, because a lot of those are actually mitochondria linked diseases, and they usually appear when you get older because the mitochondria are not functioning to the level that they used to be.
And just to back up here a second, the reason why it's important for the mitochondria to have plenty of antioxidants is because when the mitochondria is producing energy, it's the powerhouse of the cell. It's creating its own free radicals.
Yes,
right?
65% of the free radicals produced in your cell are created by the mitochondria. And especially like if you're exercising, your amount of oxidative stress coming out of your muscle cells, because they're the ones doing all the work, is like 100 times. And so
what happens is when your mitochondrial, they're creating all this free radical damage, but the antioxidants help reverse that, right?
Yes, or prevent it.
So then it's able to continue. Otherwise, they start to slow down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with the overload. And that's basically what happens. That's what your lactic acid buildup is, because your antioxidants, which gets rid of oxidative radicals, are so overwhelmed by the amount of oxidative radicals being produced that the mitochondria can't process, and so you get lactic acid buildup until you can't exercise anymore. And so C60 gets in there, gets rid of those oxidative radicals, so your lactic acid buildup is less, your DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, goes way down, things like that. Just because the antioxidants, the oxidative radicals which get out there, they cross-link proteins, they damage cell membranes, make aldehydes, which can cause more damages. So if you prevent that from happening, then you don't have a problem in the first place.
Does C60 accumulate around nerves or ovaries?
No, C60 doesn't accumulate. They found in studies it washes out somewhere between 4 and 10 days, just depending on which study you look at. C60 is perfectly smooth molecule, and it doesn't really make chemical bonds in the body, permanent chemical bonds in the body. So it just basically washes out, usually through the liver or the kidneys, in about 4 to 10 days, and which means you have to renew it. But it doesn't accumulate in the body at all.
All right. Can C60 help with liver damage?
C60 can help lift the oxidative burden that your liver cells are under, and then the liver cells, when they function correctly, can heal themselves, because the liver is one of the few organs in the body that can actually regrow itself. So that's So if you lift the oxidative burden that the cells are under, then they can work the way that they're supposed to, and then healing can come. But it's probably a good idea to get rid of toxins in your body, so that your liver's not under burden in the first place.
Definitely check out our show on liver health.
Yeah,
we talk all about that.
Yeah, and you also, another thing, if you're getting older person, you might want to look into intermittent fasting, because we could go over the whole thing. I think we even have a show on it. But one of the ways, intermittent fasting is one of the fastest ways to get rid of fatty liver. And so you can go online and research that. But if you've got, need liver health, you're getting older, you probably got fatty liver, which is one of the problems. If you go intermittent fasting, it's one of the fastest ways to get rid of fatty liver. And when your liver's not fatty, then it can really function much better.
But make sure when you are eating, make sure you're getting plenty of calories, because we know that a low calorie, low fat diet can adversely affect people with autoimmune conditions.
Yes, and so but intermittent fasting doesn't have.
Consult your doctor.
Yeah, consult your doctor.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's check out intermittent fasting.
Especially for women with hormonal issues, definitely consult your doctor before doing that. Can C60 assist in the prevention of the blood microclotting?
Probably not in and of itself. It's certainly I'm probably not going to do anything there. I can't imagine a mechanism that could do that. So
you could think of several things that might cause clotting,
but we can't talk about those on the net right now.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
but you might, C60 can prevent oxidative damage, which causes inflammation, which inflammation often causes clotting. So that's what
which
causes.
Which makes sense, because they say alcohol can cause clotting. There's a lot of all those things that cause inflammation can cause it.
Exactly. Right? So if you reduce the inflammation, then you reduce the likelihood of platelets or something else, or macrophages creating inflammation and then a clotting issue.
Wow. I don't know how to say this name. When he says, or she, no, it must be he, went in for my bio-identical hormone replacement. My testosterone level was still high enough that the doctor cut back my dosage. Does C60 affect hormone levels?
Yes, it definitely does. And testosterone and estrogens and progestrogens are one of them. So yeah,
you just did a show with Jay Campbell.
Yeah,
all about that.
Yeah, exactly. Jay Campbell.
Check out episode 4 of C60 Health Connections.
Yes,
with Jay Campbell.
Yep, you can find Jay on he's got a couple channels on
He's the testosterone guy.
Yeah,
he
testosterone.
wrote the Bible on testosterone
optimization therapy. Yeah,
TOT.
TOT. He's got into the more spiritual realms these days, but definitely if you're learning about testosterone and your options, go check out Jay Campbell and TOT.
But also check out our show, the Men's Health Show.
Yes.
Check out the C60 Show episode, Men's Health.
Yeah,
right?
Once your pregnenolone goes. See, pregnenolone in the adrenals. Once the pregnenolone levels get back up, the adrenals convert the pregnenolone to androgens, and then the androgens go out in the bloodstream, and then the test, depending on then they'll be converted to testosterone, and females will be converted to estrogen and progesterone. So the body just takes those androgens and uses it for whatever it needs.
All right, we're wrapping it up, guys. We've got time for one more question. I see one is coming in, but real quick. Oh, here we go. How do you know C60 transports are free radicals from the cell? What research has been done to verify?
Oh no, C60 has been found to neutralize oxidative radicals, but it doesn't transport them. What it does is C60 is a unique molecule. It actually pulls positive hydrogen ions out of the environment and stores it on the inside and makes itself slightly positively charged. And then these oxidative radicals are negatively charged and they stick to the C60 molecule. And then the C60 molecule releases the hydrogen atom. Like for instance, like superoxygen, that's oxygen with an extra electron. It will just take that electron and transfer it to one of the positive hydrogen ions inside of itself and release the oxygen. The oxygen goes back to oxygen, and then you have a hydrogen molecule. And the other thing is like hydroxyl radical, which is basically a water molecule missing a hydrogen. It'll release the hydrogen ion, neutralize the hydroxyl radical back to water, and C60 resets itself. And with peroxynitrate, it basically breaks and neutralizes the superoxygen stuck to the nitrogen oxide. So that oxygen goes back to oxygen and nitrogen oxide goes back in the cycle. C60 won't interfere with nitrogen oxides. They're too low energy oxidative radicals. So yeah, there's actually scientific literature out there on how C60 works. Go look up C60 as an SOD mimic, superoxide dismutase. They call it SOD. That's its nickname. And you can read all about how C60 works as an SOD mimic, and it also works as an hydroxyl. If you look at the C60 protects against radiation, ionizing radiation, it'll show how C60 works to neutralize hydroxyl radicals, because hydroxyl radicals are the number one radical produced by high energy ionizing radiations.
And we have links to all these studies at c60purplepower.com/research. Okay, well, I think that is it for our questions today. If we didn't get a chance to answer your question, please let us know in the comments because we will be checking out the comments after the show. But thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends.
And if you'd like to try C60 for yourself, visit c60purplepowered.com and remember to use the coupon code the C60 Show for 15% off.
And if you're watching us on YouTube today, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you get a notification every time we upload something new, which is what we're doing every week now.
That's great. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, and looking forward to seeing you on our next show.
See you next time.